I swear to God. Where is that hat? I don't know where that hat is. Let me put on a real hat here, guys. How's that? Is that a little better? Maybe a little bit better? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, you just gotta have fun around here, don't you? Probably not too many people out here watching this stupid thing, but I am. I'm here. So the reason for that video, or the name of the title of that, is the world is kind of screwed up, and I know that probably a lot of people are not understanding what I'm talking about, but we're just going to talk a little bit about grain pricing and why they are where they are and what they should be, and the lies that are going on around the world. Good morning, Danny. How are you? I was thinking about you yesterday because I heard that it's like fucking cold, and I know how much you like to be fucking cold. Every time I got in that 6210R, I needed to put on a sweatshirt. It's not a bad thing. It's just that's what I was thinking about you. But anyway. Anyway, it's -4 degrees in Tennessee. Get the heck out of here. It's like 55 degrees outside here. Hasn't hit us yet. So let me get to my subscriptions. I know I'm going to have a live thing here. There I am. So I can do this, and I'm going to actually take the volume down to nothing because it's going to be a pain in the neck. Wow, and -15 in Oklahoma. Good morning from a rainy, not so good Holland. Well, that's the way it is here too. It's rainy and it's going to turn to snow. And I got things I need to do. I got to go get firewood for the house because I got to get that started for coal. I've been running oil now, but it's time to actually warm the house for real. Might even go up and get a ton of coal, just in bags because it's easier for me to deal with. Anyways, the world that we live in is fucked. And why is that? It is that way because right now, I'm not 100% sure what the price of wheat is, but I can check that out. There we go. Triple M Farms. We'll go to Triple M Farms. That's where I take my grain to. Right now, corn is up 5 to 6 cents or whatever. I had 7.37. I got 7.35 yesterday. January soybeans, those are March corn. January beans is 14.32. -51 yesterday. Well, you can keep that stuff. You look at this, and I'm looking at the wheat price, right? Wheat. So you've got Ukraine that is in a war. They can't move any grain. Any of the grain that was in the bins is rotting because they shot it up with shrapnel and just made a mess out of it. But let's just say July wheat. July wheat is 786, 772 to 786. Okay. September wheat 792, December wheat 804, March wheat 810. That's what it's fluctuating. That's the highs. So, okay, soybeans 14. What are they for January? 1481. For January of next year, 1392. Can you harvest cover crops? They wouldn't be cover crops if I harvested them. You actually just roll those cover crops down. That's what you do. Cover crops are not meant to be harvested, or they would be considered a cash crop. So I'm looking at these wheat prices, and at $7, and I've got to put 70 units of nitrogen on this. 70 units of nitrogen per acre at $1.10 or more per unit. So you're looking at just say $80 an acre, right? So it's going to take you 10 bushels right there, and if you get 40 to 60 bushel wheat, you take 10 right off. It's 30 to 50 bushel. Great. And you got to combine it. You got to haul it. You got to dry it possibly. You got to do all this stuff. It's not worth it. So when you've got Ukraine that's been blown up, and the wheat didn't get planted like it was supposed to, the corn never got planted like it was supposed to, And maybe our corn price is reflecting that right now. Uh, right now, but is it really? Is that really what it should be? I was told that the corn crop in Brazil and Argentina wasn't getting planted. When they were supposed to be planting it, they got a rain. It was like 9/10 of an inch, wasn't even an inch. And a bunch of guys planted into the dust to try and get this corn to sprout. And now, miraculously, there's a lot of corn in South America. Well, I don't know any South American farmers, and I don't know that anybody from South America watches my channel, but I just drove from here to Missouri and back, and the wheat doesn't look good where I saw wheat. There's not a lot of wheat. Was told that my dad drove across northern tier, North Dakota, Wyoming, out there, and came back. He said the best corn that he saw was actually in Wisconsin, and I'm sure there's pockets that were good too, all through those areas. But the grain markets are being influenced to suppress the farmer's price so that they sell. Now, there's going to come a time when this shenanigan catches up to them, and it is going to catch up to them because, farmers have got to sell their grain to pay their bills. We really don't have a choice but to sell our grain to pay our bills. So if corn was where you would think it should be for the high price of fertilizer, high price of land rents, high price of equipment, high price of labor. Labor is something that guys are not really considering, or not factoring in as much as they should. I would like to hire somebody to come work for me, but I can't afford to pay them what they want to be paid. It just isn't possible. It just, for low skilled labor, what are you looking at? Low skill, like a nut behind the wheel. Nuts behind the wheel think that they're worth, $40 an hour. But the reality is they're worth about $15, $18 an hour. If you have somebody with a little bit of knowledge that is mechanically inclined, can diagnose and repair without guidance, i.e., taking time from me to tell them how to do a job, which really then costs twice, because my time is worth $100 an hour at the minimum, because I'm experienced. I know what I'm doing most of the time. But you know what I'm saying. So if you got just this peon that doesn't know how to do much of anything other than turn a steering wheel and throw the throttle forward, it's $15 an hour. For somebody that knows what they're doing, the value can go to 25 to 30. Oh, I'm not talking about you, Danny. Not at all. I mean, you've got skills that are valuable. You're worth something more than a $15 an hour position. That's just the long and the short of it. But what I'm saying is there's people around here that see a farm and they see a $200,000 tractor and a XYZ, all this money that's been spent, and they think that, okay, well, this farmer has the money to spend on this equipment and this to get this crop in the ground. He's got enough money to pay me $30 an hour or more. Now, I've got a friend of mine. He wants to come work for me, and it's great because I know he's knowledgeable. I know that he's a hard worker. I know that he's got the skills that are necessary to do it. But the amount of money that it would take for him to work for me, it's a lot. And we just came out of a drought, and I'm not confident that we're not going to be in another drought this coming year. Now, I will say, since the drought ended, and it has ended, we are probably going to end up in normal rainfall because we've gotten 2 inches of rain every week since October. It's crazy how much rain we've gotten, and it's raining right now. We're probably going to end up with 2 inches of rain this week alone, so it's tough. I do farm work around $35 an hour cash used against my end of year taxes. Yeah, but $35 an hour, so I got to pay a man $35 an hour. I can't declare it on my income taxes as an employee because you want cash. So that shit ain't happening. Anybody that does that's a fool, just Bigfoot. It doesn't help the guy that's getting the work done. Unless there's a lot of under the table stuff that man is doing, that farmer's doing to pay you $35 an hour, that's a lot. So I don't hire anybody under the table, haven't for years. I have no intentions of hiring people under the table because it doesn't help you and it doesn't help me because eventually somebody's going to get audited, and then what happens when they see a name on a check, they'll flip that over to see who signed the back of it. And then guess what, ladies and gentlemen? They're going to be looking into you too. Just a name on the back of a check. It could be George Jones. George Jones. Well, how many George Joneses live in this area? Oh, wait a minute. Here's a what do you call it? A bank account. Well, let's go see what George Jones does for a living. Oh, George Jones is unemployed. Wait a minute here. I see biweekly checks for George Jones in my audit of Mr. One Lonely Farmer here. So it doesn't, well, you can pay taxes at the end of the year, but that then you would be a subcontractor. You would have to be considered a subcontractor, and you would have to get 1099 and all that other stuff, which is fine. I mean, if that's how you would like to run what you do, that's okay. 1099s work okay, but the problem is the last person I paid under the table was Carl. Now, you're not putting me on payroll. I can't do it. So I worked that in as I'm not even going to tell you how I worked it in because it's just not even worth it. But I worked it in, and I did end up deducting his payroll from my taxes under a different category. Yeah, I mean, that's fine, 1099, but still, if I hire somebody that I don't know, and they can come in and they can say, okay, Mr. Pandy, I've run tractors for 5 years. I know how to work a corn planter, GPS. I know how to do this. I have a spray applicator's license. I've got, I've got whatever I've got. I can fix. I'm a mechanic. I have no problems with anything that you ask me to do. Now you're worth $35 an hour. But if you're just some kid that got out of high school and said, yeah, well, I took shop class. They taught me how to change tires and an oil on a Ford F-350, so I should be able to handle everything. Yeah, right. I mean, that's fine. That'd be fine if somebody like that was to walk into my operation. So, oh, yeah. It's tough. So what I've decided and what I have been doing and I've been doing this my whole farming career, is to avoid the human element, is to actually buy. I can hire me. I've played Farming Simulator before. Well, Seth, yeah, you sound like you're qualified. Come on down and we'll have a little conversation. What are you looking for? Like $50 an hour and, benefits like 4 days on and 3 days off. Is that what you're looking for? Because that's about what your farm sim will do for you. Because I don't hire people like that. I hired Danny to help and others as we went along. Yeah, no, it's good. Danny's a good guy. So anyway, it is, it's just difficult here. So what I've done, okay, my 12-row corn planter, it's big, right? 12 rows, turn around pretty reasonably. Well, I could only plant maximum about 125, comfortably 150 acres a day. Well, okay, I'm one guy, 12 rows. I decided I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to buy a 24-row planter, and I can double that. Doesn't mean I'm going to double my acres, even though I probably will. I double the size of the planter, I can go 2/3 faster. Because to plant 24 rows, I have to go up and back, right? So if I go up and back with a 24-row planter, I've planted 48 rows. And those 48 rows, 12, 24, 36, 48, well, I take 2 trips off, it's like 2/3 faster. The speed in which I'm going hasn't changed at all. It's still at 5.5 to 6.5, 7 miles an hour. And the other thing is, just to talk about your 16-row planter. If I bought a 16-row planter, I'd be limited to a 4-row or an 8-row head. If I bought what did Farm All Fanatics say? The equipment is too new. What's too new? I don't even know what play farms. I don't know how to play Farm Simulator either. No, you're right. That equipment is too new. So anyway, I decided a 24-row because I can use a 4, I can use a 6, I can use an 8, and I can use a 12-row head. So it's infinite in what I do. So if I have a major catastrophic failure with the corn head that I have, and the only thing I can grab is a 4-row narrow head, it'd be hard to do, but I could use that. Or I could go from a 6 to an 8, which would probably be where I would be at because my combine will take an 8. Or if I buy a new combine, I can do a 12-row head. 16-row head in this area, I'm not saying that you couldn't use it. I just have no desire to. It's a pain in the ass because you'd have to, the 12-row head does fold over, or you get a rigid one. Rigid one, you're putting it on a cart and you're taking it to the field. Great. Excellent. No problem. We are 12 and 6 now and ready to trade the head. We have a combine that can easily handle the 8-row. We can still, 8 rows. We can't get down the roads with an 8-row head. It's just too wide. So that's why I'm sticking with the 6. And if I do expand and go to a bigger combine, I will probably get a 12. So Walker Farms on says, oh my God. So anyway, so we got that. Well, let me get back on task and on subject here. What I'm saying is that these grain markets or these grain prices that I'm looking at right now, corn for March is what, $6.66 with a 2-cent change. That's for March. May, $6.65, $6.18 for September. December, $6.04. $6 is okay. If your fertilizers, your nitrogen is 60 cents a unit, not $120. And that's where we're at. It's crazy expensive. Soybeans, $14.81 today for January, but November it's $13.91. So are you going to be able to pay for $45 a bushel seed? You're going to put, what, a bushel and a half, 2 bushels the acre down, and everything that goes into it. And then you end up in a drought you're not making any money. If you go out and buy a new combine because you're doing 1,500 acres or 2,000 acres of row crops, which I could easily do 2,000 acres of row crop. Hands down, no problem. I can do 1,500 acres of corn and 500 acres of soybeans. I got 2,000 acres, and then I could go and buy a brand new combine, right? Small one, as a tier, Class 7 combine. I don't think John Deere or New Holland even make a Class 6 anymore. Maybe they do. I don't know. But now your bushels to the acre need to increase in order to make up for what you're taking out. Morning, Go-Go Bobo's sister. Dow futures. It's crazy. Honestly, I think that corn is $1 too cheap. I think soybeans are $2 too cheap. I think wheat right now at $7.76 for March wheat. Jeff Ramond was right. It's poverty grass. You're going to go broke. And I'm telling you right now, at harvest time, if the wheat is not $9 a bushel when it's time to harvest, if I cannot contract for $9 or above, it's all going into corn. All that wheat will just be laid down and it's going into corn. That's how it's going to go. That's fertilizer. So fertilizer. What kind of fertilizer is that? What is the fertilizer value? App Store. I'm going to go to the App Store and I'm going to download a Ag PhD. I have it on my phone, which is what I'm using to Ag PhD. Oh my God, why can't I get that? No results? Huh. I don't see the Ag PhD app. Hefty seeds. Well, they have a fertilizer removal app, the Ag PhD. I can't access it because I can't remember. Let's see. Yeah, Ag. It was Ag PhD. It was Hefty seed. No, whatever. They have a fertilizer removal. So if you read between the lines in that application, you can figure out approximately what you will get for available fertilizer from the crop that you terminate. Okay. $25 feels like 39 below. Well, I don't know where you're at, but I got to get going here pretty soon anyway. I just wanted to come on and talk about this. So when you grow a row crop or a cash crop, you have a removal rate. Crop removal. Crop images, videos, click. Oh, let's see. Anyways, I'm trying to find this stupid thing. Oh my God, corn row crop. Let me try row crop. Nothing row crop. I'll have to look it up anyway. There's a removal rate. So when you take the grain off of, say, wheat, there's a certain amount of nitrogen that you remove and a certain amount of phosphates, potassium, zinc, and sulfur, and calcium that you remove in the grain. So in order to get that back, that's what you have to replace if you're double cropping. So if you have your CEC or your cation is, your CEC cation exchange is high, like say 10. Ag PhD fertilizer removal. Ag PhD fertilizer removal by crop. It's called Ag PhD fertilizer. So I'm going to try it. Ag. It's a good app. Oh, Ag fertilizer removal. Fertilizer. Fertil. Nothing. It's not in the Apple store. Anyway, let's see if I can go back to that comment. Wesley should not be messing with the farmer's pay. If it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be eating Merry Christmas. Well, remember this, as time progresses and they fuck with the farmers enough, a happy population is a well-fed population. Hungry populations create unrest and anarchy. So every civilization that has ever fallen or come apart at the seams has been because of no food. So when you don't have food, people get upset. The more people get upset, the more unrest you have. Governments fall or topple over drought and famine. So just think about that. Lime prices are not terrible. I can get my lime for $12 a ton. I got to go pick it up. I would definitely, if I was anybody watching this right now, go out and scout your fields, okay? Check your pH, and check your calcium levels. pH and calcium levels. If your pH is good, that doesn't mean you've got good calcium levels. I don't know about the spending bill. I think it's horseshit. The way they're spending trillions of dollars would be like, I don't know, it's ridiculous. That's it. So anyways, check your calcium levels. pH does not equal high calcium. If you have a good pH and your calcium levels are low, you need to add calcium. All these crops need calcium. Wheat, calcium whore. Corn, calcium whore. Soybeans, calcium. Don't get high mag lime, get high calcium lime. If you need magnesium, cover crop with covers that extract the unavailable magnesium in your soil and makes it available. Phacelias, all different kinds of brassicas and legumes and grasses. You mix those all together, put them out there. You're not going to harvest them. You're just going to watch them feed the microbiology in your soil, and that microbiology in the soil breaks down what is necessary for each and every individual variety or species of plant that you've put out there in a cover. Okay? That's what cover cropping does. Is it wasted money? Because a lot of people, and I've gotten these comments, oh, I don't have the money to waste on cover crops. Well, if you've got the money to waste on commercial fertilizer, then you've got more than enough money to waste on cover crops. Because as you bring the soil health up, calcium, lime, pH. pH is very important. Microbiology does not live very well in 6.5 and below pHs. It just doesn't. It's not there. It dies. Worms don't do well. Bacteria doesn't do well. Fungus doesn't do well. Mycorrhizal fungi dies without a living root in the ground. So you can have a bumper crop of corn, but if you don't put a cover crop in there, all the mycorrhizal fungi that you grew in your root zone is then starving to death. Now you can feed it with sugars to keep it alive in the winter months, and then plant a spring crop. You could do that, a spring cover crop. I will be putting a spring cover crop on almost 450 acres of corn ground this spring. It's going to be a crazy mix of 8 different species, and I'm going to throw a 9th species in there, and that 9th species will be sunflower. Sunflower is only going to get, I don't know, 1.5 to 2 feet tall before I terminate it and plant the corn into it. But I need to do that because the former farmer has just been on the Roundup program and soybeans, wheat, soybeans. So the organic matter isn't there, and the topsoil is going to wash off these fields after a while. But the pH, he did put lime on these fields a few years back, so I got to go see what the pH and the calcium levels are. But that's what I'm going to do because I couldn't get in there until January. I don't take over the land until January. So there it is. I have to be really I got to be proactive in getting this cover and this biomass on the ground because it's barren. And when you have barren dirt like that, that leaves you susceptible to noxious weed species because the soil gets hot, the microbiology dies in heat. So you get surface compaction from heavy rainfall like we're having right now. Crop residue does break up that surface compaction a little bit because the raindrops hit that, break apart, and gently seep into the soil. Whereas if you were to plow it, that surface tension can be, or crust, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can have that crust, it's 1 inch to 2 inches thick because of heavy rainfall. Cover crops alleviate those problems. So anyways, when it comes January, I'm going to go out with my soil probe. I'm going to bust through that frozen ground. I'm going to get these soil tests. I'm going to send them out to see what's out there, just to see what's out there. Because cover crops will make unavailable nutrients available if the pH and the calcium levels are there. Calcium is a catalyst for all of this stuff to work. Now, once you get a pH level that is good, just monitor your calcium levels. Now, there's calcium in soil. All soil has calcium in it. It just isn't available calcium. It can be bound up by clay particles and things like that. So what is the answer to that? Organic matter. Building organic matter. Building that microbiology that breaks down these nutrients and these calcium, all the nutrients. Calcium is a nutrient, but gets it broke down and available to the plants so that they can be healthy and happy and growing and profitable. So instead of spending, say, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 on fertilizer this coming year, I will probably be spending somewhere around 300,000 and relying on my covers to have already broke down and captured nutrients that would, or soluble nutrients that are washing away at this point because of all this rain. So just look into cover crops. As dumb as this may sound, no, I'm not organic. I still will use fertilizer. I still use chemical sprays. Along with my VT to terminate and stuff like that. So, yeah. Anyways, the whole point of Ag Talking Raw is to talk about what I see and and calling it out and maybe helping some guys to understand that we're getting screwed. The Chicago Board of Trade, the politicians are holding their thumb on the scale of our pricing because they don't want rich farmers. They really don't. They don't want wealthy farmers. They don't want farmers to do well. They want us to run into the Farm Service Agency, Moose, ask for money. Oh, I can't afford to do this. Can you give it to me? I don't do that anymore. I haven't for 12 years or so, maybe more than that. I just haven't needed to, and I'm not going to. But I don't know. I'm gonna have to get going here because I got that line. That frozen line is just about upon us now. I'm looking at the weather report here. Adapt, overcome, and become profitable. Don't be a slave to the banker, and don't be a slave to your equipment company. If you like John Deere, don't be a slave to that company. Who gives a fuck what the neighbor's doing? The neighbor goes out and buys an X9 and you're still running a 9600, but the 9600 is doing exactly what it's always done, combine corn. Don't run out and buy a new one because that guy did. I see that so stupid. It is the dumbest thing ever. Now, yes, it's nice to go out and buy a new combine. It's nice to go out and buy a new piece of tillage equipment if that's what you're going to do. It's nice to go out and buy a new corn planter, but do it with cash, man. Not suffer. Deal with what you have. Work within your means until you have achieved these larger profit margins that will allow you to update your equipment. Not like the idiot up the road that just says, well, fuck it. The government owes me anyway. I'm doing it. I'm feeding the population. I'm going to take their money, Because at any given time, they can pull the rug out from under you. But be in your area next month for 3 weeks on a mission. What kind of mission? What kind of mission? Like a religious mission? Because I'm leaving. I'll be in England for a week. And anyways, yeah. Don't worry about what the neighbors are doing. Do you the way you do it. Like Timmy Cornpicker up here. All right, now Timmy Cornpicker, he's probably not watching, and it's fine. I can talk about him because I like Tim. I think he's a good guy. He works within his means. Now, some of the things I think he's stepping over dollars to pick up pennies in, but I do it too. We all do. It's like, oh, damn, shouldn't have done that. And we learn from our mistakes and we don't do it again. But when you take Timmy Cornpicker, he's working with ancient stuff, but he still seems to make ends meet. And I know guys that look like they're making ends meet. The reality is they're going broke faster than Timmy Cornpicker is. So live within your means, figure out how to make that profit margin grow. Study. There's a lot of information online. This stupid computer that I sit in front of or behind or whatever you want to call it, I learn more about how to widen the profit margin just by spending a couple of hours a week listening to people that are just doing things different. I learned from a guy in North Carolina about the secret sauce and how to make the secret sauce twice as good as what it is, how I can cut pop-up fertilizer, cut pop-up fertilizer and cut the P and K out of, basically not cut it out, but reduce it by putting this secret sauce in the furrow. Then you can reduce what you broadcast. Because what you put in the furrow in that secret sauce it is already an available nutrient. So 25, 30,000 acre. Well, I'm in New Jersey. We don't have that kind of farmland. When it goes for building, it's 125,000 an acre, so or a lot for 2 acres. But whatever, we're not talking about that stuff. Yeah, so if you can cut that synthetic fertilizer bill down by using something that is, I want to say organic. It is not organic, but it is used in organic farming. It is organic. Everything is organic. I'm organic. If I eat this tin cup here, is it going to make me non-organic? No, I'm still organic. I just have trace levels of stainless steel. So, but whatever. What's your secret sauce? Well, if I told you, it wouldn't be a secret now, would it? So the secret sauce is a couple of different things. It's actually a multitude of different things. I haven't expressed all of what it is. For 10 years definitely pays, but people have to be patient and reap the rewards. Most try it once and quit. Of course they do, because they think, okay, I'm going to start these cover crops, and that's it. All my problems will be solved. I won't ever have to talk to the guy down at the fertilizer plant again. No. You'll see benefits the first year. You may even see no benefits the second year per se. Things might not change much from the first year to the second year, but the third year and the fourth year and by the fifth year, I think, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, by the fifth year you can probably reduce your inputs. If you're doing multi-species cover crops, you can decrease your inputs by 3/4. How do we know your secret sauce isn't snake oil? Well, if I could get snake oil to do what the secret sauce does, then it makes secret sauce. Fish oil, but you can use fish fertilizer. Don't use fish emulsion, fish fertilizer, and mix it in with the secret sauce already. So if you look at organic farming as a way of not being able to sustain agriculture, I would agree that you're correct. Organic farming, you cannot feed the population that we have through organic farming. It's just, I'm sorry, it's just a fact. But if you use organic practices in a conventional way, they're very, very, very beneficial. And a lot of people don't understand that. They're like, oh, well, you're just doing organic. No, we're not just doing organic. We're doing a hybrid, organic and conventional. No-till or very limited till with my vertical tillage machine. My vertical tillage machine is no different than if I put the wavy or ripple coulter on the row unit to my corn planter. That's a fact. Don't care what anybody says. That's it. That's all it's doing for me. It's laying down a crop and it's cutting slots. It's not stirring or tearing up the soil. Native Americans taught the white man how to plant corn with fish guts as fertilizer, so what's old is new again. Well, fish guts for fertilizer, they're using bottom feeder fish, and they're grinding them up. They are not siphoning off the oil. I think it's Neptune's Pride or some damn thing that, what is it? King Neptune, Neptu, Neptune'sHarvest.com. Neptune's Harvest organic fertilizer. It's organic fish fertilizer. You're not feeding the plant. This is one thing that a lot of people are really misunderstanding about these fish fertilizers. They don't feed the plant. They don't feed the plant. They become available to the plant after the microbiology in your soil has broke it down. So it is a fertilizer, but it is a readily available fertilizer because it is organic. It is an organic fertilizer. Excuse me. It's not a synthetic, like a synthetic fertilizer, like rock potash, phosphates, nitrogen. Nitrogen is in the air that we breathe, and it is converted into a form that is taken up by plants. We do need nitrogen in our soils. So when you're doing cover crops, you can't just say, okay, I'm cutting the nitrogen out of my corn because I planted these soybeans last year and they'll put X number of pounds of nitrogen into the soil. Well, yes, you can gain some credits, but if you take the grain away, there goes most of your nitrogen. So you take your nitrogen credits away with the grain. So your soybeans, of course, the plants and the nodules that are in the soil, they do have nitrogen in them, but you need to sustain your microbiology so that that becomes available to your next cash crop. You can use rye, which will scavenge nitrogen and release it in the reproductive stage of your corn or soybeans if you choose to do that. You can use rye, wheat, there's a lot of different things you can use to scavenge these nutrients. Now, these cover crops, they grab and scavenge nutrients that you're going to be using in your cash crop. So where are they scavenging them from? They've got to be put there from somewhere. Well, they might have been put there by your great grandfather. We don't know. They're there. Or they could come from volcanoes. Volcanoes dump a lot of ash up in the air, which magnesium, manganese, phosphates, potassium, all this stuff comes from, things in the air. Sulfur, fuel oil, sulfur dioxide comes out of the volcano and it lands all over the world. And it is there, but it's not in an available form. So how do you make it available? You plant plants that require or sequester the microbiology to go get it for them. So, okay, so they go and they get it. They go and they get it. And then your cover crop, the definition of a cover crop is to cover the soil. And it's not a cash crop. You're not harvesting it. You just lay it flat, or some people disc it in. I wouldn't disc it in. Because you're not getting the weed suppression that you're going to get if you disc it in. You're actually bringing weeds up from the seed bank, which then become exposed to the sun, which warms the soil. Once the soil gets up to a certain temperature, the seed bank sprouts, and now you've got, not only do you have a cover crop, there, which is good and everything, but you now have weeds you got to contend to. So if you lay them flat, it suppresses weeds. You can severely reduce or substantially reduce your input costs in herbicide. And herbicide can be quite expensive. It's $60 an acre or more just in chemical, and the application rates $12, $20 an acre to do it, depending on who you get to do it, or what company you get to do it, or what sprayer you purchase to do it. It's expensive. And if you can cut those numbers down, like, okay, I'm going to roller crimp this, or I'm going to run my VT over this and just lay it down, straight cut, no real disturbance of the soil, just slice it up a bit, leave it out there before you plant for 3 or 4 days, and then come back in with a Roundup treatment and kill it, make sure it's dead, and then plant it, or lay it down, plant it, and then come in with a Roundup treatment before your cash crop comes up. You may be able to get away with that because it should canopy quite quickly. I wouldn't do it without a residual, like, Bicep 2 or Bicep Magnum. I guess that's what I used. Something like that in corn. Dual with your soybeans. You can use dual on soybeans. There's a lot of things you can use. It's up to you and your agronomist or your fertilizer plant or chemical supplier as to what you use. But you can severely reduce those input costs that way. And anytime you reduce an input cost, so let's just say you planted 3 different types of legumes along with a grass and a brassica out in your field. You've got 7 different species or 8 different species or 12 different species out there. And each one of those things, they're not competing with one another. Once you hit 7 species, the competition is not there anymore. One will not outgrow the other. They all kind of work together to grow in a symbiotic way. So they all sequester different nutrients from the soil. They all sequester, they're not competing for sunlight. One is not going to choke out the other. They're all going to kind of grow and do their thing. At least that's what I've been told. I haven't experienced it yet because I haven't gotten to that 7 species level yet. Right now, I am just got things covered, and I'm going to do the 7 to 12 way species after wheat. Tillage radish, very important. What I'm going to do with tillage radish is actually plant it with a corn planter. And then next year, I'm going to go over the rows that I did with the corn tillage radish with a corn planter. I'm going to plant corn right over those radishes, right over them. That's how I'm going to do that. So anyway, whatever. You still don't know what the secret sauce is. There's probably 4 different things. Well, not probably. There are 4 different things that go into it. I will tell you that fish is one. And yeah, and it is not going to kill your seedling when you put it directly to it. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. I guess I'm done spouting for right now. There's nothing else I can tell people. I've been on for about an hour and I got to get going. The rain stopped, the snow's going to start, and it's going to get damn cold, so I got a lot of things. So John Deere auto steer is yeet. I don't know what yeet is this year. Auto steer this year. Auto steer, yeah. I am planning on buying the John Deere system that I can put in the 8530, the 7530, the 6210R. I know that the 7810 is ready for it. I just never... It's got the valves and stuff, and so is the 8120. It's Green Star ready. I don't know if they're too old. I don't know. I got to talk to Deer Country and find out what the deal is with that. Can you believe that July corn is actually down 4 cents? At $6.12 a bushel, it's down 4 cents. But March corn is up 6 cents. What is that? Mower can run auto steer too. Yeah, absolutely. What happened to the GPS system you're using? Nothing. It's in a tractor, and it is not easily moved from one to the other, and I don't like it. I mean, it's okay. It's a budget type thing. It works well. The problem with it is it's not like I can just say, okay, I'm going to go snap the globe onto the front of this tractor and then move this over and put it on the bracket. That thing has 4 antennas and wires that go up and down and in and out of the cab. There's a cable tie that's like that big around. It's stupid. I liked the Trimble system where you had the magnetic globe. You put it on the top. And that was it. So you had one tiny little coaxial and it did everything. This system, God, it's like, what the fuck? I mean, if I do buy the units that unit like I want to, I might just take that thing out. But it's in the 7810, and and that's fine. It works. It does work. It's just not ideal. I like to trim also. I have Ag Leader. Yeah, I know. I don't have Ag Leader, and we are now out of the rain. I got to go find my boy, too. Hold on a second. William Edward, where are you? I got to go. I got to find my kid. Have a nice day.